Okay, this is going to be a quick demo of doing a fast walk cycle and having it stop in your scene. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to do this with all simple shapes so I can send you the file to work off of or have for reference. So here's our main scene, 1920 by 1080, 24 frames, I'll just make it 40 seconds. So this is where all the stuff's going to be at. And then we have our character, which yours is a horse. And I'll keep it the same settings. All right, so we'll pretend this is our horse. Here's the body. And I'm going to hold down Control and double click to snap my anchor point there. I'm clicking off. We'll make this one leg. I'm going to make them all different colors so that we can see what's happening here. Now for the leg, okay, that's snapped. I'm going to hold down Control to snap that up to the top center. Okay, I'm just kind of close so I know what side of the body it's on. I'm going to duplicate it. So I've got a front and a back on the close side to the camera. I'm going to select them both. Command D to duplicate. Now remember, if I keep them selected, now see how they stayed together in my timeline. And I'll call these bar. I'll change the color. Set that to blue. Let's make this one green. And then if that one's pink, we'll make this one red. Okay. We'll put them below. See how they're on the back now, behind the body? Okay. My legs will all get parented to the body. And you've already got this part, the rig. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save. When you did your research on horses galloping or trotting, all right, so I'm gonna keyframe all of these. All right, I'm gonna hide the back one so I'm not looking, so you don't distract me. So the front, I'm gonna put forward, which means the back front goes backwards, right? Then the other side is this one going the opposite direction of the front leg. Like that. And then this one would be going the opposite of that one. Like that. Okay. So we've got that. I'm going to do half a second. Now, hopefully you've got your legs split up into 2 or 3 parts, you know what I'm talking about? So it's not so choppy. All right. I'm going to copy these. And I'm going to move forward another 12 frames, roughly. And I'm going to paste them again. So the middle, okay, that's like that. Then the middle frame. Let's take a look. So if the front, this one's back. So once it's in the middle, it should be at the halfway. No, it should be the opposite. That one's forward. So the middle keyframe, it should be backwards, which it is. This one's forward, so the middle keyframe should be backwards. Like that. And then lastly, this one's back, so the middle it should be forward. Okay, so I'm gonna have to copy these to the last frame. So it's a loop. Yep, see? All right, so let's check that loop out. All right, here's our loop. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to copy these, go forward a little bit, same thing. Go forward a little bit. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna move these a little closer, like that. All right. So I'm gonna select, my big group, paste. All right, so we've got several seconds of walking. All right. There we go. Let's go to our main animation. We'll put our horse in it. So that is very strong. Let me tone that down a little bit just so it's not hurting our eyes. All right, there we go. So there's our horse. So what we can do, since it's all pre-composed, is I can move it over here, go forward a couple seconds, move it whatever distance it's going to cover. That. And let's say we want to stop right here. So what I do is I delete these frames and for each one of these I'd set it to whatever my resting pose is going to be like. You see how I didn't move the playhead? I kept it exactly where it was from the other scene. So now, let's take a look. See? So you do something, I mean, obviously I mocked that up really fast, but that's how you can loop your animation and then figure out, move the precomp in here so you don't have to worry about the whole body, then figure out where you want it to stop, keep your playhead, go back in here and adjust your keyframes accordingly. All right, so I'm going to record this as well. So when you're doing a custom particle, you want it to be 200 by 200 or a maximum of 400 by 400. And you already have that set up. And you want your particle length to be the length of your animation, just to be on the safe side. So I'm just gonna stick with 40 seconds and hit OK. And here we've got our custom particle. So I'll just do a bouncing letter A. With an expression, just so I don't have to waste time. Double click here to complete it. Let's say 3 times a second, an amount of 10. Oh, bless you. Excuse me. Thank you. And always make sure all the motion of your particle stays in the scene. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. So here's your main animation. I just click new comp. We're working in 2K, 1920 by 1080. I'm gonna hit OK. Here's our main animation. You drag, let me rename this. I'm gonna drag this into my main animation and hide it. Remember, you gotta hide it. So we're gonna make a new layer for the new solid. That'll be a particle system. Yeah, no problem. Okay, and you hit it, right? You're gonna put particle world on the solid layer, that's going to be your particles. Okay. And I'm just dropping down my preview resolution just so I can work faster.
It's not be any color.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Don't forget to save because Adobe crashes frequently. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to find the particle type that with the physics engine you want the most. I think direction under physics, I think a directional axis might work the best.
I think that's what we did last time.
Yeah, we could try that, or we could try fire. Yeah, let's do fire this time just to try it out. Okay, so we're going to crank that resistance way up so that the engine's not that strong for the physics. See that? And what we're going to do next is we'll go to our producer. We'll spread it out.
Aren't you resistance?
We'll take a look. Because don't forget, yours is going to be different than mine because of your particle. So I did like 49.9. And while we're here, I'm setting my gravity to 0, my extra angle to 0. And I'm also going to set my velocity to 0. We'll try that out. See, now they're spread and they're just staying where they should. So I zeroed out, pardon?
All right, it's not spreading. Oh, there we go.
Well, don't forget, we're just dialing in the motion first, then we'll put in the particle.
Yeah. Mine's not the same as yours.
Yeah. I'm also going to crank up my longevity so that they live longer. I'm going to lower the birth rate. There we go. That should work for your shot. No problem. Like I said, I'm just guessing here. I'm going to move these down to about where the floor would be.
That's weird. I didn't get a 4.
Check your grid up at the top. This is where the floor settings are. Are you also clicked? Do you have your effect clicked on and the layer? So here I am in my timeline. If I click back on my effect, now I see the grid again, the floor. Okay, I'm just gonna spread this out a little bit more now that I'm zoomed out. I don't want to go too much on the Y. You know what I mean? Because of the perspective, but the Z is what's going to make it look like your robot army. You can position that however you want.
There we go.
Okay. So we have the rough idea here, okay? The fire helps spread them out and they're not floating off the ground because we got rid of the gravity and we increased the resistance, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide my layer down in the timeline and just extend a bit so that there's already the particles here. You know what I mean? They're not being born. Okay, so we roughly have the look. I mean, we've got the motion. Now let's go for the look. So I'm going to go to my particle. You're going to want textured square, because if you do textured disc, your robots will be rotated in every direction. You don't want that because they want all the wheels on the ground. So textured square. And then below that, in the texture, this is where we're going to choose our custom particle. So whatever number layer your custom particle is, you choose that. And I'm going to do effects and mask. Now for my birth size and death size, I'm going to make them both 1. 1 should be the size of your custom particle. So you can make it larger if you want, but don't have them get smaller as they're, you know what I mean? They got to stay the same size. How I did the what? Oh, so you chose textured square up here, right? Then did you twirl down texture? Then did you choose your particle layer that you hid?
All right.
So you choose it in the drop down, and then make sure you choose effects and mask. Okay, so now do you have all your robots? You can make your particle size bigger. Just make sure your birth size and your death size are the same. And then there's more settings we gotta get to. Go to physics. And yeah, just look at my settings. It's fire, 0, 0, 0. And then for resistance, 49.9. Extra, I'm gonna set that to 0. Actually, no, it was fine where it was. Scatter them out a little bit, like 0.5 is alright. Extra angle 0. Okay, so you're good with all this. Now your producer. Yours is going to be dependent upon where you want them at. So like, here's what my producer settings look like because I wanted them down here on the ground. Yours will be in a different spot. Got it? So that's all, you know, their size. The radius is, you know, how much space they take up. Don't go crazy on the Y because then they'll be off the ground. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then position is where you move it into your scene. All right, so we got that. Under particle, you're gonna want textured square. The mouse is usually faster than the trackpad. So you've got your textured square, and under the texture, you twirl that down and you chose your robots, right? Okay, now, you're not gonna scatter it, you don't want that. Birth size, death size, make them the same size. So if 1 is too small for your robot, try 3, you know what I mean? But just make sure they don't shrink or grow over time. For your robots, I'd set your size variation to 0 because they're all the same size. You don't want different sized robots, you know what I mean? Yeah, so size variation, set that to 0. Max opacity, set that to 100. Okay, now, see the little twirl down for opacity map? Once you hover over it, you get the pen. You want to fill in that so it's not fading off or fading on. They're not going to do that anymore. Opacity map, you twirl down and then you fill in the color. Okay, your birth and death color. If you use white for both, it'll be the color of your robot, like all those colors. So this way the robot doesn't change color over time. And that should be everything you need because now you've got your robots where you want them. So it's just positioning them in your scene. Your scene, the motion in it, is it driven by a camera or an adjustment layer or position? A camera? Yeah, because then your particles would move with the camera. Mm-hmm. Well, here's what I want to, actually, since we got some time, I'm going to add a camera in. Layer, new, camera, okay? So you got a camera in your scene. Here's a quick recap. Remember, this tool right here will orbit you around the scene, like rotating. This one is for panning up and down, or it's for tilting up and down or panning side to side. And this is your zoom in and out. What I prefer you do, which might be easier for you, is this. Go layer, new, null, no object. No objects are invisible and you can use them to parent things to. Make sure you 3D enable it by clicking the cube in your switches. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to click on my camera. I'm going to use the pick whip over here by parent. I'm gonna pick whip my camera to the null. So watch what's gonna happen. I'm gonna hit P, I'm gonna hit Shift R. So I've just got my position and my rotation. So position, if I move side to side, that's my panning for the null. Up and down, that's my tilt on the Y. Yeah, so that's right here. If you go to your particle layer and you set your longevity high and your birth rate low. So I did like 0.5 and let's just do 14 to be even. So these will stay where they, you know, they're not going to be disappearing. They're going to stay there pretty good. Okay?
Yeah.
So you got your null and you got it 3D enabled and you parented the camera to it, right? Yeah. So for your position, like I said, the first number, side to side, that's your panning. The middle number, that's your up and down, that's your tilt. And then the last number is your forward or closer or further from the camera. So that's your zoom. Then you got your rotation. You can rotate the camera on any axis you want individually, or you could keyframe them together. So your camera motion that you faked was it a tilt down and then a zoom out? Oh, so it's going from the bottom to the top. So you see the robots and then rise up. So you would move your playhead to where the motion's going to start, click position stopwatch, and then move forward. Let's just say a couple seconds just for the fun of it. So it's going to go up and then zoom in, right? So we can say, here's our up motion. There go our robots. Now we're going to need something to focus on. So I'm going to we'll pretend this is the evil guy's podium, okay? Make sure all your layers in the scene are 3D enabled, got it? Now this, I'm going to send further back in Z space. Oops, wrong layer, sorry. All right, we'll pretend that's there, okay? So here's our motion. Let me move it up a little bit. Okay, so there's the motion. And we're gonna say what time we want to start zooming in. So I'm gonna do that and we'll go to here and I'll adjust how much I want to zoom in or not. See? Like that. So it's just those two keyframes. Wait, let me delete that one. Yep, and there you go. There's your army, reacts to the crowd, like you get parallax, and there's your podium with the speaker. Make sure it's spread out in Z space. Remember, the further they are spread out in Z space, the greater parallax will be. And you could do it every one. Like you could even maybe rotate this a little bit. I'm gonna hit Shift R, not too much because remember you're pretty front on. So let's try Y. Yeah, like this, look. So if I rotate this a little bit on Y, and then I go to about here, and I set it to 0, watch that extra little movement we get. See that? See how much more powerful that is? So there you go. There's a little bit of camera movement. Parented to, I think it's easier for you to use a null than to try and figure out the camera. Yeah. So there's your custom particle robot scene with everything moving together in the world the way it should be. Do you want this file for reference?
Yes,
And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit U here so you can see my keyframes. And my particle is open over here. Once the scene is filled with robots and you didn't want more of them just magically appearing, what the solution for that was you click on your particle layer and we went down to extras, hold particle release and crank that up to 100. And what that's saying is these robots are going to stay there, but no new ones are going to pop up. So that's how you get your crowd without people appearing and disappearing, still filling up the screen. Hold particle release 100%, and we're not going to animate that. We're just going to keep it at 100. So you turn that on in your document, right? Particle release 100%?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And you slid down your particles. Now they're not being born, but they're filling up the screen. Excellent.